We're facing an economic war, and I'm not directly referring to trade disputes, but rather rapidly rising prices that threaten countries around the world as ripples from the physical war in Ukraine continue to be felt globally, while economic growth stagnates. This dreaded combination, known as stagflation, is forcing policymakers to sharpen their weapons and decide where best to attack or defend. Notably in the US, the Fed has this week decided on an aggressive 0.75 percentage point interest rate hike in a bid to tame soaring inflation. But what about here in South Korea? The new government under President Yoon-Suk-yeol has just unveiled its first major economic policy roadmap. On the economic growth front, this battle plan focuses on supporting private sector-led growth by easing regulations and cutting corporate taxes. The hope is that such business-friendly policies will help companies expand investment and spur job creation. On the contrary, Yoon's predecessor Moon-Jae-in had raised corporate and real estate taxes in the name of fairness, while increasing state-arranged short-term jobs to boost the labour market. But the Yoon administration's now reversing the maximum corporate tax rate back to 22% from the 25% imposed in 2017. And the new tax plan also includes expanding incentives on investments in key technologies like semiconductors and electric vehicle batteries, and allowing people to put off paying the gift tax imposed when they take over a family business. And remember that some of South Korea's biggest and best-known companies, from Samsung to Hyundai, have remained in the hands of single families for generations. Yet Finance Minister Ju Kyung-ho's warned the pattern of slowing growth and rising prices is expected to continue for a considerable period of time. The government's lowered its economic growth forecast for this year from December's outlook of 3.1% to 2.6%. And on the price front, the Finance Ministry's sharply raised its inflation outlook to a 14-year high of 4.7%, up from 2.2%. With ordinary people feeling the pinch of high energy costs, South Korea will extend a 30% cut in fuel taxes by 5 months. And following the upward spiral of home prices under the Moon government, the Yoon administration is additionally rolling back the burden of property ownership tax to levels similar to 2020, a year before housing prices really soared. Another tactic being adopted is a plan to supply more than 2.5 million extra home units. But there are still major structural challenges and external influences that can't be quickly solved or are impossible to control. Even though the Yoon government plans to revamp the National Pension Fund, the country's infamously fast-aging society is not going to get younger anytime soon, as we also have the world's lowest birth rate. Also, with the US expected to keep going with the interest rate hikes, South Korea will be under intense pressure to follow suit to protect the local currency, because an even weaker won against the dollar would only speed up the escape of foreign investors, while also raising import prices and making inflation even worse, outweighing exports, which still have supply chain issues to overcome. Amid the looming threat of a crisis, markets here and abroad have been understandably jittery. Seoul shares tumbled on opening this morning following the fall of US shares overnight. At least here in Korea, we'll be relying on those big corporations and many more smaller businesses to prevail.